yield only theoretical results as said by God. Ye yata mam.
श्री दत्त गणपतिं भजे, श्री दत्त गणपतिं भजे, श्री दत्त गणपतिं भजे, श्री दत्त गणपतिं भजे, श्री दत्त गणपतिं भजे। उन्मत्त नटन ताण्डवं मत्ते भवदन भासुरं चित्ताब्जबोध भास्करम् आयत्त योगराजितं विद्वेष नित्यपूजितम् उत्तानपाणिमुद्रितं श्रीकृत्तिवास सत्सुतम् कैलासदृशदिनर्तनं भक्तान्तरङ्गवर्तनं पापौघपाशकर्तनं श्रीपार्वतीसुतं भजे। श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे। लम्बोदराङ्गताण्डवं मुद्राकराब्जपण्डितं सर्वाङ्गनागमण्डनं वन्दे विनायकं पतिम्। धिं धिम्मितकिटमर्दलं भं भं निनादशङ्खकम् आनन्दनृत्यतत्परं ध्यायामि प्रमथनायकम्। आमोदकरमोदकं वेदान्तमतिमादकं दुष्कर्मफलसाधकं विघ्नेश्वरं गुरुं भजे। श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे। सृष्टिस्थितिलयकारणं मोक्षाख्यदैत्यमारणं संसारजलधितारणं स्तौमि प्रभो नरवारणं। पञ्चास्यमादिदैवतं देवऋषिभिः समर्चितम् आलोकगलितसञ्चितं विघ्नाधिनाथमाश्रये। श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे। लोकैकपरमवैभवं लोकेश्वरादिसम्भवम् आलोकपरिहृतोद्भवम् आलोकये परं भवम्। श्रीकृष्णकविनिवेदितैः श्लोकाख्यमोदकैरिमैः आनन्दगणपतिं पतिम् आराधयन्तु साधकाः। श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे, श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे श्रीदत्तगणपतिं भजे
परब्रह्म समारंभां श्रीदत्तात्रेयमध्यमां श्रीदत्तस्वामी पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां सर्वविश्वन्यस्तपादपद्मायते वामहस्तालोल वेदशास्त्रायते ज्ञानसूर्यायते दत्तरूपायते श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम् श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम् श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम् गुरुदत्त श्रीदत्त प्रभुदत्त पाहि माम् विधिदत्त हरिदत्त परदत्त रक्ष माम् पाहि मां दत्त रक्ष मां दत्त स्वामी नमस्कारं स्वामी
नमस्ते
Namaskar, Sang.
नमस्ते
Pada Namaskaram, Swamiji.
नमस्ते
With salutations at the lotus feet of Shri Datta Swami, let us begin the satsang. We will continue with Shri Radha Krishna Gita. We are currently going through chapter 10, Kama Prema Bheda Vichara Yoga, the association of the inquiry about the difference between lust and love. I offer this dedication at the lotus feet of Swamiji. From you alone is all knowledge sublime, and everything that's great and fine. All the ignorance and error are but mine, for I am just a soul, and you, the goal divine. Trusting your compassion benign, my errant service I yet consign to those holy lotus feet of thine, Shri Datta Swami, my Sadguru trine. We'll have a quick recap of what we discussed last time. The chapter began with the difference between love and lust. And we studied that love is an all-round attraction to a person. Love is general. It might be towards another. Yes, Swami.
not you, please proceed.
Okay. Yes, Swami. So love may be towards a person or it might be towards God. If the love is towards God, meaning God is the goal of that love, then it is called devotion. So, but what is love? Love is an all-round attraction to a person. That love is centered around the person. It is not self-centered. The person whom you love is more important than you. If that is the case, then it is called love. And devotion is merely such love towards God. Now, this devotion that some devotees have towards God, what is its cause? Where did it originate? So the answer is that it is not something that is the result of anything that these devotees did in one lifetime. It is the result of an innumerable number of births dedicated to the knowledge of God and the corresponding devotion to Him. To whatever extent you gain knowledge about God, it produces a proportional amount of attraction towards Him. You are attracted to good things, nice things. Everything about God is nice. So if you come to know one quality about God, you develop one unit of devotion towards God. You come to know of something else about God, and that is also fantastic. That increases your devotion towards God. So the growth in your knowledge and the growth in your devotion happen parallelly. When you have innumerable such births devoted to God, the devotion builds up. And when you are born in a particular birth, the current birth, that cumulative devotion that you had over those past births is seen, it is exhibited. One should not mistake that that devotion is something that was produced due to some actions done in the present birth. So this is the nature of love. Then what is the nature of lust? Lust is only having attraction to another person for the sake of sex. It is self-centered. In lust, what you are trying to do is you are using that other person to gratify yourself. There is no love. That person is not the center. You are the center. It is self-centered. You are more important than the other person. You want to use that person as a tool, as an instrument to give pleasure to yourself. And this lust is driven by your hormones. It is something that is material and lower in nature. Love is non-material. It is something of a higher nature. Now, one question comes as to how can we control these various emotions that we have. Love or lust, these are emotions. So how do we control them? So firstly, in order to control them, you need to be in good health. Now, why is this important? We saw that devotion or love is the result of knowledge. And in order to get knowledge, you must be physically healthy and you should be mentally healthy. So you have to take care of your health, which in turn makes sure that you're mentally healthy. So take care of your physical health. That automatically, or at least partially, influences your mental health. In that healthy body and healthy mind, you can learn spiritual knowledge, which will improve your devotion. There is no way to improve your devotion without knowledge. If you merely try to act like other devotees, the devotion is not going to increase. If you gain knowledge about God, it will lead to a real improvement in your devotion. And in order to get that knowledge, you must be healthy. That is why Ayurveda gives some 8 rules which are to be followed by all. They will keep your body healthy. Most of the common illnesses and adverse health conditions can be avoided if you just follow those 8 rules. Those were discussed last time. Moreover, what was discussed is the food that you eat. That health can be maintained if you have the right kind of diet. And as regards food, there are 3 categories of foods: the sattvika food, rajasika food, and tamasika food. And if you consume sattvika food, it is conducive to your health. It is conducive to good thoughts. Because you have a healthy body, the mind also remains in a pleasant state. And because the mind is in a pleasant state, it is suitable, that condition of the mind is suitable for studying knowledge and developing devotion. So sattvika food leads to knowledge and devotion, or is conducive to knowledge and devotion. Rajasika foods, they disturb your physical health. They disturb your mental health. So it is not conducive to knowledge and devotion. Instead, it drives your these qualities of lust and other qualities, lust, anger, depression. All these negative qualities are driven by rajasika and tamasika foods. So they should be avoided. So that is what we discussed last time. Moreover, we also discussed that there are 4 categories based on love and lust, 4 categories of people. What are they? There are people who exhibit the highest category, who exhibit love-based love. They have true love for God. And that love is based on a true attraction to his divine qualities. That is love-based love. Now, in some cases, there are devotees who can exhibit some lust towards God. But that lust is an expression of the love that exists in them. It is not lust for lust's sake. Because they have love towards God, they are exhibiting lust. That is the second category. That is usually one step lower than love. The third is lust-based love. Actually, the person has lustful feelings and the person is attracted to the other partner because that other partner can satisfy this person's lust. So there is some love, but that love is actually based on the foundation of lust. That's not so good. And then the worst case is there is no love. There is only lust. So it is lust-based lust. The person never even claims to the other party that I love you. I have lust for you, and that lust is based only on lust itself. So that is the worst case. So these last 2 cases, which is lust-based love and lust-based lust, these are animalistic or demonic forms of love. They cannot actually be called love. Whereas the earlier 2, they are divine or angelic forms of love. And God likes the first 2 categories, where love is the basis. So our relation with God should be based on love and not lust. Oftentimes, the relationships between 2 incarnations, one in a masculine form and one in a feminine form, they belong to the first category, because God is always 100% pure. So there is love-based love between one incarnation and another incarnation. But sometimes, because of the role, one divine incarnation may exhibit some lust also. For example, when one incarnation is married to another incarnation, like you have Lord Shiva and Lord Parvati, Lord Rama and Sita, and so on. These are cases of one incarnation being married to the other. So lust is exhibited, but that the basis of that lust is love. And so that is still a divine relationship. On the other hand, if a devotee is attracted to God because of his beautiful form, then that is pure lust. So with that introduction, let us continue with the subsequent verses. I think we covered this verse last time. For the sake of continuity, I will read this verse again. Sadhakas sadhakam kuryat laksham na parameshwaram bhagavacharitam bodhum na shakyam swalpamedhasa. Swami says, a spiritual aspirant must make the higher spiritual aspirants, like sages, as the goal, so that the ordinary human soul can easily follow their life as the example everywhere in the world, everywhere in worldly life or spiritual life. The ordinary human soul shall not fix God as its goal, since the life of God in human form is not easy to understand for the limited intelligence of human souls. So here Swami makes a wonderful point that we are attracted to God. God is our goal. That is called devotion. But just because God is your goal, you should not try to imitate his behavior. He is your goal, but don't try to imitate his behavior. Then whose behavior should you imitate? You should imitate the behavior of higher spiritual aspirants like sages. There are so many sages and saints that you find in every generation. There could be some such aspirants of previous generations whose stories and biographies we all know. You can follow their behavior, how they behaved with God. You try to follow that behavior. You should not try to follow the behavior of the incarnation. For example, let us say that there is a devotee of Lord Krishna. He loves Krishna very much. Who should he follow? Should he follow the behavior of devotees like the Gopikas, like Meera, like Hanuman? Or should he follow the behavior of Krishna? Following the behavior of Krishna means he will say, I love Krishna so much. Krishna is my ideal. He is my role model. So I will also dance with many girls. No, he should not think that way. That is the wrong the wrong example that he is using. He should behave like Radha. He should behave like Meera. He should behave like the Gopikas, where we see that they were devoted to God. They sacrificed all their bonds for him. Their devotion was based on knowledge. The devotion was proved in practice by serving him, by sacrificing their hard-earned wealth to him, by overcoming all their worldly bonds for his sake in a practical way. That is the part that you should follow. You should not try to become like Krishna. Anyway, that is not possible for you. For example, lifting the Govardhana mountain is not possible for you. Killing fearsome demons is not possible for you. Dancing with many girls is possible for you. So what you will do is, selectively, you will do what you like. But what Swamiji has once said, that if you want to imitate Krishna, fine, no problem. You start by lifting the Govardhan mountain. If you are able to lift the Govardhan mountain, we will not object to anything. Because you must be an incarnation. Nobody else can lift the Govardhana mountain. So if you can perform all those miracles, if you can give the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita like Krishna, then you must be an incarnation. In that case, you can imitate Krishna. But mere mortals like us, we cannot do that, so we should not imitate the human incarnation. In fact, forget about imitating the incarnation. You cannot even truly understand his behavior. No one knows the incarnation other than God himself. He is God. God can be known only by God. So who knows Krishna? Only Radha knows Krishna. Who knows Rama? Only Hanuman knows Rama. Why? Because Radha was also an incarnation. Hanuman was also an incarnation. But people like us, we cannot know the human incarnation. And as a result, we cannot understand the reasons behind his behavior. Why he behaved in a certain way, we are not able to understand. Our interpretations are usually flawed. For example, until Swamiji revealed this fact about the illusory Krishnas and the relationship not actually being romantic, we had no idea about it. And so we made our own conclusions. Many scholars made their own conclusions about what the relationship between Krishna and the Gopikas was. And based on that misinterpretation, if you try to behave like Krishna, that is not fair. Moving to the next one. Daiva prema kari tasya Katha bhakta katha tu sa sadhanaya na bodhaya sakshad sakshad deepa vadacharet. If you read the story of God, it will create love for God. For the sake of getting correct knowledge about the correct path to reach God, you must read the stories of devotees. The story of a devotee will act like a torchlight to show the spiritual path very clearly. So here Swamiji says that there is value in both the stories of God and the stories of devotees. By learning about the stories of God, you come to know his divine personality, his divine qualities, his divine greatness. That is the root, because that causes the attraction towards him. What causes the attraction? Why are you devoted to God? The cause of that attraction is your knowledge about his greatness. For that, you need to know the stories of God. Through those stories, you develop that attraction. But don't try to imitate your goal. He is your role model, yes, but not in terms of action. He is not really the role model you want to imitate. He is the goal you want to reach. The role model in terms of expressing your devotion should be devotee. For that, you learn the stories of devotees. There are so many great devotees from ancient times to modern times, all the way from the Ramayanam to the devotees of Krishna, which you find in the Bhagavata Puranam, other Puranas also. And in every Purana, you find so many examples of excellent devotees and how they expressed their devotion, how they always exhibited humility before the incarnation. They did not try to imitate the incarnation. You look at Hanuman, despite being an incarnation himself, he never claimed to be an incarnation. He never behaved like an incarnation. He always regarded himself to be just a servant. Even when everyone was seeing how he is performing great miracles, how his power was unmatched. Everyone was seeing that. But Hanuman always claimed to be just a servant. That is what we should follow. The humility, the greatest importance given to the human incarnation. Not what I want to do, what is my wish, that is not important. What is God's wish, that is important. He sacrificed all his bonds. He did not allow a single bond. He sacrificed them preemptively. Before forming a bond, he sacrificed the bonds. So that shows the path. That is the path. By learning about the story of Hanuman, we know the path we should follow. By knowing about the stories of the Gopikas, we know the path we should follow. Whether you are a sannyasi, whether you are a grahastha, these are external superficial factors. Ultimately, what is important is the content of the love that you have. How pure is it and how strong is it? Is it totally free of selfishness? Is it totally aspirationless? That is the purity. And the strength is determined by, do you love him more than your wealth, more than your children, more than your spouse? That is the indicator of strength. So it should be pure and it should be strong. If you have such love, that love is the greatest. So by learning about the stories of incarnations, we can know how to express our love in a practical way, how it should be free of aspiration and stronger than our worldly bonds. Next one. Tan gacchato nu gachatvam Vrikshagrasthita bhaktiman Swami sadhaka bhaktascha Nayane charanau kramat. A spiritual aspirant shall follow the devotees who are climbing towards God. One should see God who is sitting on the top of the tree. He has already climbed the tree. God on the top of the tree must attract the devotee's two eyes, developing devotion to God. However, the devotee's two legs should follow the other devotees who are climbing and who have reached a higher level. This is the way to climb the tree which represents the spiritual path. So this concept is partly displayed on the image that you see over here, but it ought to be really, maybe a little more clarity would be if there were a second devotee over here, what should this second devotee do? He should look at Krishna, be attracted to him, that is, develop devotion towards Krishna, but his feet should follow the feet of the devotee ahead of him, the devotee who has reached a higher level. So his two eyes should be fixed on Krishna, and his two legs should follow the footsteps of the devotees who have gone ahead of him, who are at a higher level of spiritual evolution. That is the way. His feet should not try to follow the feet of Krishna, because Krishna has already reached the top. I mean, he never climbed all the way from the bottom. Let's say he fell from the sky and he is sitting on the top of the tree. He was never a seeker. Krishna was never a seeker to have climbed the tree from the bottom to the top. Krishna was always at the top. So you cannot follow the feet of Krishna. You cannot imitate his behavior. You should imitate the behavior of devotees who have gone ahead of you. But the eyes should be attracted to Krishna. You should not be attracted to other devotees. The attraction, the goal of your attraction should be Krishna. But the path to be followed is shown by other devotees. This is the concept. Jivo laukika kamanam sarassadhaka eshahi mukta nishkaminastasmin premaikastat samarpitaha. The soul may be on the spiritual path, but it does not leave its inherent nature. It remains full of lust and worldly desires. Liberated souls who are merged in God alone possess pure love for God. Such souls are totally surrendered to God without any aspiration, even when they accompany God on earth. So the sadhakas, spiritual seekers who have not yet attained liberation, they remain full of lust and worldly desires. They actually are interested, they actually are attracted to worldly things, because those worldly things give some pleasure to the self, and internally, the self alone is their goal. Externally, they are trying to change that goal from the self to God. Everyone is self-centered. The self, by default, everyone's goal is the self. Who's the seeker? Who has realized, is the person who has realized that although currently my goal is the self is not as precious, not as great as God. Therefore, I need to change my goal from the self to God. He's the one who has realized that I need to change. Does it mean that he has already changed? No, he has not already changed. Because the inherent nature is self-centered. The soul's inherent nature is self-centered. So this person has not changed. It will take many births for this person to change. Ultimately, at the final step, it will happen only by God's grace. Ishwaranugrahadeva. But God is not going to grant his grace to any undeserving person. God wants you to put in the necessary effort. Your effort is not sufficient for you to attain the goal, but the effort is absolutely critical. Just as a student in a class must put in effort. No matter how much effort the student puts in whatever subject, that student could be a law student, an engineering student, a medical student. No matter how much effort the student puts in, the student can never know everything in the field. Even the topper of any class, let's say a topper in medical school, does not know anything and everything about medical science. The student only knows the limited textbook or the limited syllabus that the teacher has given to him. But looking at the hard work that the student has done for that subject, the teacher gives 100 out of 100 to the student. Does it mean that the student knows 100% of medical science? Not really. So, to some extent, the teacher is giving him some grace. But the teacher doesn't give grace randomly to anyone and everyone. The teacher is observing the student. This student has really put in a lot of hard work. Let me give 100 out of 100. Of course, there are so many questions if you ask that topper, the topper will not be able to answer. Because medical science is so vast. The human brain is so small. So that medical student who has got 100 out of 100 has not become omniscient in medical science. Similarly, a spiritual aspirant, no matter how much effort that person puts in, is not totally deserving of liberation. But God brings down the standard to a reasonably achievable limit, whereby if the devotee, if the aspirant proves that the three bonds, the three strongest worldly bonds, are less important to him than the bond with God, God grants the degree. God grants 100 out of 100. Then the person is said to be liberated, and such a person goes and merges with the energetic form of God, retaining his or her individuality. The merging doesn't mean a complete dissolution, completely becoming God. It only means becoming so close to God, so attached to God, that it is almost impossible to separate them. So such are the liberated souls. Now, ordinary sadhakas, irrespective of what clothes they wear, irrespective of how much position and how much status they enjoy in this world, ordinary sadhakas are ordinary sadhakas. They are not liberated. A certain sadhaka could be a sannyasi, could be holding a position of great power in the spiritual domain, could be a mathadipati, pithadipati. That doesn't mean that the person is necessarily liberated. And a liberated soul may or may not have any position of power, any special position. The liberated soul may or may not be a sannyasi. Could be a sannyasi, but could also be a grahastha. So what is important is the internal picture, not the external dress and the external appearance, the external behavior, how popular that person is. These are not important things. The lesson we have to learn is the ordinary sadhaka who is not liberated cannot get rid of lust completely. But the person must put in effort, and if the effort is sufficient, God will liberate that person. The liberated soul is different because that person has already proved himself or herself. And so this liberated soul has come along with God to earth. Coming to earth means bearing a material body, having a material body, the human medium, which means all the properties of the human body are found in these liberated souls. They also feel hungry, they also feel sleepy, they do all the things as ordinary human beings. They may also externally exhibit lust, but all that is what is necessary for the role that they are supposed to play. Whenever that need is over, they can get over all these apparent bondages because they had already achieved that in the past. So God retains His grace upon them to ensure that they do not fall into the trap of worldly life. Does it mean that they are, the fact that they are liberated, does it mean that they are above temptation? No, it is not that way. They can be tempted. In fact, in some cases, even liberated souls are found to slip. But God maintains His grace upon them so that they do not fall in the trap of the material world. So these souls, they have true love for God. Not the sadhakas who are under the influence of lust, who have not really broken the worldly bond. They are not in that position. Then Shri Radha asks another question. Shri Radha Devi Uvacha Satya Rupan Mrusha Rupam Vidyate Tadrusham Katham Kim Gopyaham Bhavan Kim No Maya Rupo Vada Prabho. Shri Radha Devi spoke, how can the Gopikas differentiate your real form from your illusory form? They are looking at your illusory form with the faith that it is your true form alone. The knowledge to differentiate between your real and illusory forms is also essential for me. Otherwise, in reality, I may be one of these Gopikas and you may be the illusory form of God Krishna. Oh Lord, please clarify this concept. Radha is asking, you have told me this whole backstory or the hidden story of how the Krishnas who are dancing with the Gopikas are illusory and that you are the real one, you are the real incarnation. But maybe I could be one among the Gopikas and you could be an illusory form. So how can we know that? How to distinguish between the real and illusory forms? So Lord Krishna answers her, Shri Krishna Bhagavan Uvacha Bhavati Pruchhati Prayah Prashnamevam hi chanchale Tvam gopi ched aham maya Rupi natrasti samshayah. Lord Shri Krishna spoke, O Radha, you do not have mental stability. Hence you are often asking me the same question again and again. I have to give a suitable answer for your question. My answer is that if you are a Gopika, like if you are an ordinary Gopika, then I would certainly be only an illusory form of God Krishna. In this, there is no trace of doubt. So if Radha were an ordinary Gopika, meaning she were not an incarnation, if she were just an ordinary human being, then the Krishna who is with her, he must also be only an illusory form of Krishna, because the incarnation will not romance with any ordinary human being. So if Radha is an ordinary human being, then the Krishna who is in front of her must also be illusory. In this, there is no trace of doubt. Then Lord Krishna continues. He says, Gopi syad bhavati mithya syamaham cha na sadyadi bhavati mam satya krishnam chintayet tadidam na tat chintayet tadidam na sat. Certainly, there is a possibility of you being an ordinary gopika, and certainly there is a possibility of me being an illusory form of Krishna. In that case, as per the plan of this program, the gopika should believe even the illusory Krishna to be the real Krishna. Had you felt that I am the real Krishna, the above possibility has every chance of being true. But you are doubting me, thinking that I might be an illusory Krishna. This is against the plan of the program. Therefore, your thinking is proved to be unreal. It means that neither are you an ordinary gopika, nor am I an illusory Krishna. So, Lord Krishna says that according to his divine plan, in front of every gopika, or together with every gopika, there should be an illusory Krishna. The gopika is a human being, the illusory Krishna also is an ordinary human being. None of them are incarnations. And what is also part of the program is that gopika should believe that that illusory Krishna is the real Krishna. What is the plan? The plan is ordinary human being should romance with an ordinary human being. If the gopika, an ordinary human being, is romancing with a form of Krishna, that form must also be an ordinary human being, which means an illusory Krishna. This is the first point. The second point is the gopika must believe that the Krishna she is dancing with is the real Krishna. So she should totally believe that he is the real Krishna. But Radha has raised the doubt. Are you the real Krishna or are you an illusory Krishna? Am I an incarnation of God or am I just an ordinary gopika? This doubt came to her mind. According to the plan, the gopika should never have a doubt in her mind. Otherwise, the upliftment of the soul according to the path of Madhura Bhakti is impossible. If that doubt comes in the mind, then upliftment by that path is not possible. So according to the plan, the gopikas were meant to not have any doubt. They were supposed to believe that the Krishna they are dancing with is real. Since Radha had a doubt, it means that Radha is not a gopika. She is not an ordinary gopika. She is an incarnation. And she is an incarnation, naturally. The Krishna she is with is also the real incarnation Krishna. So he says, it means that neither are you an ordinary gopika, nor am I an illusory Krishna. So Radha is the incarnation of, of the divine power of Lord Vishnu as well as of Lord Shiva. So she is an incarnation of God. And Krishna is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, which means he is also an incarnation of God. So that is proved. That is what he is saying here. Pakshonyo hyavashishtoyam tvam maya brahma chapyaham etat samshayamulante najnanam patra sanchitam. That only leaves us with the other possibility that you are the embodiment of my inherent power called Mahamaya, and I am the incarnation of Parabrahman. According to this possibility also, you may have an inevitable doubt, which is, why are you unable to recognize yourself, whereas I am always able to recognize myself? So he says that since you got the doubt, you cannot be an ordinary gopika. It means you must be Mahamaya, I must be Parabrahman. That part is established. But that leads to a second question. If both are incarnations of God, then Radha may wonder, why is it that Krishna is able to recognize himself and I am not able to recognize myself? If both of us are Parabrahman and Mahamaya, respectively, which means we are both Parabrahman, then both of us should be able to recognize our own divinity. But why is it that only Krishna is able to recognize and I am not able to recognize? This doubt may come in Radha's mind. So here Lord Krishna answers that doubt. He says, Aham Sadguru Patrastha Tvamajna Bhakta Patraga Adarsha Bhakta Netritvam Shishya Me Natake Mita. He says, I am in the role of the divine preacher who removes the ignorance of devotees. Krishna is in the role of the Sadguru, divine preacher. And Radha, he says, you are the role of a devotee having ignorance. You have to become my student and disciple to learn spiritual knowledge from me. The spiritual knowledge will remove your superimposed ignorance. You have to propagate my spiritual knowledge to other devotees and stand as the leader of devotees on the spiritual path. So here he says that our roles are different. Although both of us are Parabrahman, I am Parabrahman, you are Mahamaya. Effectively, both of us are Parabrahman, but our roles are different. So Krishna is in the role of the Sadguru. Sadguru cannot have ignorance. If Sadguru forgets himself, how can he be the Sadguru? So Sadguru should not forget his divinity. Sadguru is God who has become the Guru. God who has become the preacher, which means the divine preacher. The Sadguru should not forget that he is the divine. And the disciple should have ignorance. Otherwise, the Sadguru's preaching is meaningless. If Radha also says, I know I am Mahamaya, I know that I am one with Parabrahman, if she sits beside Krishna, then why does Krishna need to preach to her? She already knows everything. She is already omniscient. So that divine drama which is being enacted for the sake of guiding humanity, not only for that generation, especially for the future generations of Kali Yuga, that entire drama would become futile. It would become meaningless. So Radha should not have omniscience. Although internally, she has omniscience. But that omniscience should not be expressed. It should be covered. And ignorance should cover up her omniscience. And Krishna should not cover his omniscience. He should reveal his omniscience, or he should be conscious of his omniscience. So he says that you have to propagate my spiritual knowledge to devotees. She has to be the leader of the Gopikas. And she has to lead all those Gopikas to their liberation. By observing her, by observing the purity, the aspirationlessness of her devotion, by her being not bound by any worldly bonds, by observing all that, the Gopikas will feel inspired. And the Gopikas will be able to overcome their own worldly bonds. If there is no role model like Radha, who will the Gopikas follow? How will they realize that we have to have aspirationless love for Krishna? Even though Krishna doesn't respond to us, we should still love him one way. We should be able to not care for the family, not care for money, not care for the world. We should break all bonds to reach him. How will they realize that? Someone has to show them. The path to be followed is shown by devotees who are higher than us. You should observe the path of the devotees who are higher than us. So the Gopikas have to observe Radha and follow her path. Their attraction is towards Krishna, not towards Radha. The goal of their attraction is Krishna. But they should follow the footsteps of Radha. That becomes possible only if Radha has some superimposed ignorance. And at the appropriate time, which is at this time when Krishna is revealing the Radha Krishna Gita to her, that ignorance is being removed. But initially she should have ignorance, because with that ignorance, she can overcome all those worldly bonds. She can demonstrate the overcoming of the worldly bonds so that the Gopikas can follow her behavior. Next one. Yadbhavatyatra tat sarvam brahmechhanupranalika natra kapi cha me chinta tavaivajnana pidita. Whatever is happening, all that is as per the will of Parabrahma alone. And this is the divine will. Hence, I am not worried at all. Only you are worried due to the influence of ignorance that is necessary for your role. So in a previous chapter, Lord Krishna had reminded Radha, that she, being the divine Mahamaya, in her form as Saraswati, was the one who planned this whole divine drama. The planning of the divine drama is related to knowledge. And the goddess of knowledge is Saraswati, who is a form of Mahamaya herself. So the same Radha, in the form of Saraswati, wrote the script of this drama. She planned the drama. But now, because she is in human form and she is playing her role, she has forgotten that she is the one who has written the script. So Lord Krishna is saying that whatever is happening is as per the will of Parabrahman alone. This is the divine plan. And so since things are going as per the divine plan, he is not worried. Why should Krishna be worried? Everything is going as per plan. He is omniscient. He knows what is happening. Then who is worried? Only Radha is worried. Why is she worried? Because she has ignorance. Because of the ignorance, she is worried. No, it is a separate issue that the ignorance is necessary for her. Otherwise, she cannot play her role. So because of that ignorance, which is inevitable, it is necessary for her role, she is feeling worried. Yadi vajnanike nadvau srishtau bhedo vadhiyatam parabrahmechaya bhedo satyopi navagamyate. If a scientist creates two exactly similar items, we can usually still find the difference between the two items using our sharp scientific knowledge. But if the unimaginable God or Parabrahman wishes that two items should not be differentiated, then even the greatest scientist cannot differentiate between the two items, even if he uses the climax of scientific knowledge. When a scientist creates two items that are very similar, almost identical to each other, there are still some very minor differences. Even when you mass produce some items in an assembly line, let's say you are producing cars. One car looks almost identical to the other car. For the layperson, there is absolutely no difference between one car and the other car. They all belong to the same company, same model. One was produced right now, the other was produced 5 minutes later in the same factory. There seems to be no difference between them for the layperson. But if you observe very closely, using certain instruments, probably using microscopes and other technologies, a scientist will be able to differentiate between the two items. For example, for many parts, there are tolerances. The dimensions of a certain part in one vehicle and another vehicle might be slightly different. To the naked eye, they seem to be of the same dimensions, but there might be a slight difference between them. Certain amount of difference is permissible. That's called the tolerance. So a scientist may be able to measure that with proper gauges. He might be able to measure that difference, and he might be able to differentiate between one item and the other item. But if God, Parabrahman, wishes, the omnipotent God, if he wishes that two items should be exactly equal, exactly the same, then no one, not even a scientist, can differentiate between the two. And that is the case of the difference between the illusory Krishna and the real Krishna. Krishna, the incarnation, and his illusory form, externally they are identical. No human being, no scientist can ever find any difference between the two externally. The difference is internal, that the real Krishna contains Parabrahman, but Parabrahman cannot be detected. He is unimaginable. This is incapable of identifying Parabrahman. So what he can see is only two human media, which are absolutely identical. They are distinct. There are two different media, but they look exactly identical. Ato bhedo na sadhyo hi naranamalpamedhasam evam jnatva ma kurushva shramam yat tadalaukikam. Therefore, it is impossible for human beings having little capability of intelligence to distinguish an illusory Krishna from the real Krishna, in spite of their climax hectic efforts. After knowing this truth, do not waste your time in trying to understand the difference between the illusory and real forms of Lord Krishna. This concept is beyond worldly logic, since it is introduced by God's divine will. Radha asked the question, so how can I differentiate the illusory Krishna from the real Krishna? Now, telling her, these two, the illusory forms have been created. The real Krishna has created the illusory Krishnas using his unimaginable power. There is no way that you will be able to distinguish between them. It's a futile effort. Don't waste your time in trying to do that. It is something that is beyond worldly logic. Unimaginable power, unimaginable wisdom, that which is beyond worldly logic. The method by which God has made this is the method or the process by which he has made these illusory Krishnas is unimaginable. Any imaginable process, with any imaginable process, you can make so if my voice is breaking, maybe it's some internet issue. Yes, I proceed. So since this concept is beyond worldly logic, how can you make the second item exactly identical? Not by any mechanical process. Like I said, if you're producing two cars, two engineering parts in an assembly line, they appear to be identical, but if you observe them closely, there will always be a difference. You cannot make any one item exactly identical to the other. But because this is made by an unimaginable process, the illusory Krishnas were produced by the real Krishna through an unimaginable process. So they are exactly identical. And it is futile. It's a waste of time to try to differentiate between them. You will never be able to differentiate. Because we have very little intelligence, very limited intelligence. Alpamedhasa. We are alpamedhasas. Then here he says, Mama sankalpa matram hi characharamidam jagat madichhamanuvartante jadava chetanalayaha. He says, this entire world, which is made of inert and non-inert items, is just my will only. Whether it is an inert item or a non-inert item, every item follows my will only. This entire creation is made by him. I gave the example of an engineering part that is made through an assembly line production. That is an inert item. Among inert items, we cannot make another item exactly identical to the first one. God has made not only the bodies of the illusory Krishnas to be identical with the real one, but even the awareness, which is non-inert, that also is identical. The qualities in that awareness, they are also identical. The qualities of one person and another person are not identical actually. If you look in the world, you might have identical twins, so-called identical twins, even those ones which have almost an exactly identical DNA, even for them, the mental qualities are not identical. Physically also, there are some differences. They are not noticeable to us. But even mentally, their mental makeup, the qualities, they are quite different. In this case, the illusory Krishnas, even the mental qualities are also identical. That is the beauty. When God makes something identical, he makes it perfectly identical. And since he is the one who has created this entire creation, what is impossible for him? Be it another living being, a living human being, or be it a stone or an inert item, he can make whatever he wants because this entire creation was made by him. So what is the big deal if he makes some more new items? Can anyone stop him? Then he says, Iyam pranalika srishta moksha panthastathaiva sa pravarteta vikalpona sarvakshepa hi nishphalaha. He says, I have created this rasa dance as the path to salvation. Accordingly, this plan of the rasa dance will give salvation to any soul. There will be no alternative to my will. Ignorant people attribute several misinterpretations to this rasa dance. All of them will be useless and become ineffective. So it is his divine will to arrange this divine dance for the upliftment and salvation of souls who are suffering due to their uncontrollable lust. His plan will always succeed. No matter how much ignorant people try to oppose him, how much they try to misinterpret his actions, how much they try to blame or criticize him, ultimately, all their blame will be futile. It will be ineffective. Finally, God's wish alone will take place. So I think I'll pause over here. Hand over to Suryaji now. Father, namaskar. Swami.
Namaste.
Namaskaram, Swami.
Namaste.
So first, I will share the document. Just 1 minute. So, okay. So, in the 10th chapter, we have covered the first 20 verses. We will start from the 21st verse. Kama Prema Bheda Vichara Yogaha. So, the 21st verse is just 1 minute. Sadhaka sadhakam kuryat lakshyam na parameswaram bhagavat charitam bodhum na sekyam swalpamedhasa. Meaning by Swami, a spiritual aspirant must make the higher spiritual aspirants like sages as the goal, so that the ordinary human soul can easily follow their life as the example everywhere in the worldly life or spiritual life. The ordinary human soul shall not fix God as its goal, since the life of God in human form is not easy to understand for the limited intelligence of human souls. Next verse. Daiva prema karitasya katha bhakta katha tusa sadhanayana bodhaya sakshat deepavadacharet. Meaning by Swami, if you read the story of God, it will create love for God. For the sake of getting correct knowledge of the correct path to reach God, you must read the stories of devotees. The story of a devotee will act like a torchlight to show the spiritual path very clearly. Next verse. Tan gachatonu gachatvam vrukshagra sthita bhaktiman swami sadhaka bhaktascha nayane charana ukramat. Meaning by Swami, a spiritual aspirant shall follow the devotees who are climbing towards God. One should see God who is sitting on the top of the tree. He has already climbed the tree. God on the top of the tree must attract the devotees' two eyes, developing devotion to God. However, the devotees' two legs should follow the other devotees who are climbing and who have reached a higher level. This is the way to climb the tree which represents the spiritual path. Next verse. Jivo laukika kamanam sarasadhaka eshahi mukta nishkaminastasmin premaikas tat samarpitaha. Meaning by Swami, the soul may be on the spiritual path, but it does not leave its inherent nature. It remains full of lust and worldly desires liberated souls who are merged in God alone possess pure love for God. Such souls are totally surrendered to God without any aspiration, even when they accompany God on earth. Shri Radha Devi Uvacha Satcha Rupan Mrusha Rupam Bhijyate Tadrusham Katham Kim Gopyaham Bhavan Kim Nu Maya Rupo Vada Prabho. Meaning by Swami, Sri Radha Devi spoke, how can the Gopikas differentiate your real form from your illusory form? They are looking at your illusory form with faith that it is your true form alone. The knowledge to differentiate between your real and illusory forms is essential for me also. Otherwise, in reality, I may be one of these Gopikas and you may be the illusory form of God Krishna. Oh Lord, please clarify this concept. Sri Krishna Bhagavan Uvacha Bhavati Pruchhati Prayah Prasnamevam hi Chanchale Tvam Gopi Ched Aham Maya Rupi Natrasti Samsayah. Meaning by Swami, God Sri Krishna spoke, O Radha, you do not have mental stability. Hence, you are often asking me this same question again and again. I have to give a suitable answer for your question. My answer is that if you are a Gopika, then I would certainly be only an illusory form of God Krishna. In this, there is no trace of doubt. Next verse. Gopi syat bhavati midhya syamaham cha nasatyadi bhavati mam satcha krishnam chintaye tadidam nasat. Meaning by Swami, certainly there is a possibility of you being an ordinary Gopika, and certainly there is a possibility of me being an illusory form of Krishna. In that case, as per the plan of this program, the Gopika should believe even the illusory Krishna to be the real Krishna. Had you felt that I am the real Krishna, the above possibility has every chance of being true. But you're doubting me, thinking that I might be an illusory Krishna. This is against the plan of the program. Therefore, your thinking is proved to be unreal. It means that neither are you an ordinary Gopika, nor am I an illusory Krishna. Next verse. Pakshonyo hyava sishtoyam Tvam maya brahma chapyaham etat etat samsaya moolam te na jnanam patra sanchitam. Meaning by Swami, that only leaves us with the other possibility that you are the embodiment of my inherent power called Mahamaya, and I am the incarnation of Parabrahman. According to this possibility also, you may have an inevitable doubt, which is, why are you unable to recognize yourself, whereas I am always able to recognize myself? Next verse. Aham Sadguru Patrastha Samajna Bhakta Patraga Adarsa Bhakta Netritvam Sishyame Natake Mita. Meaning by Swami, I am in the role of the divine preacher who removes the ignorance of devotees. You are in the role of a devotee having ignorance. You have to become my student and a disciple to learn spiritual knowledge from me. The spiritual knowledge will remove your superimposed ignorance. You have to propagate my spiritual knowledge to other devotees and stand as the leader of devotees on the spiritual path. Next verse. Yad bhavatyatra tat sarvam brahmechanu pranalika natra kapi cha me chinta tateva jnana pidita. Meaning by Swami, whatever is happening, all that is as per the will of Parabrahman alone, and this is the divine plan. Hence, I am not worried at all. Only you are worried due to the influence of the ignorance that is necessary for your role. Next verse. यदि विज्ञानिकेन द्वौ सृष्टौ भेदो वा धीयताम् परब्रह्मेच्छया भेदो सत्योऽपि नावगम्यते. Meaning by Swami, if a scientist creates two exactly similar items, we can usually still find the difference between the two items using our sharp scientific knowledge. But if the unimaginable God or Parabrahman wishes that two items should not be differentiated, then even the greatest scientist cannot differentiate between the two items, even if he uses the climax of scientific knowledge. Next verse. Ato bhedo na sadhyo hi narayana malpamedhasam evam jnatva ma kurushva shramam yatta dalaukikam. Meaning by Swami, therefore, it is impossible for human beings having little capability of intelligence to distinguish an illusory Krishna from the real Krishna in spite of their climax hectic efforts. After knowing this truth, do not waste your time in trying to understand the difference between the illusory and real forms of God Krishna. This concept is beyond worldly logic since it is introduced by God's divine will. Mama sankalpa matram hi charachara midam jagat madicha manuvartante jadava chetanalayaha. Meaning by Swami, this entire world, which is made of inert and non-inert items, is just my will only. Whether it is an inert item or a non-inert item, every item follows my will only. Next verse. Iyam pranalika srushta mokshapanthas tathaiva sa pravarteta vikalpona sarvakshepa hi nishphalaha. Meaning by Swami, I have created this rasa dance as the path to salvation. Accordingly, this plan of the rasa dance will give salvation to any soul. There will be no alternative to my will. Ignorant people attribute several misinterpretations to this rasa dance. All of them will be useless and become ineffective. So then we will read some question answers. Just opening the doc file. We were going through the set of question answers on the celibacy of Lord Krishna. Satsanga about why God Krishna is called as the real celibate. We have covered the first question. So we'll start reading from the second question. These are all asked by Miss Trailokya. The question is, will the real Krishna get sin because the expressed feelings belong finally to the real Krishna? The detailed question is, Swami, you said that intention is very important and not the inert action. Hence, the real Krishna gets sin because the expressed feelings belong finally to the real Krishna only. Swami replied, you must see the context for every concept. What you said is correct in the context where X planned a murder of a good fellow and Y carried it for the sake of some materialistic benefit from X. In this case, the above concept is true, and X is a greater sinner than Y. Here also, I am not telling that Y is sinless. I am only telling that comparatively, Y is a lesser sinner than X. Here, the basic point is that the person who got murdered was a good fellow. Had the murdered person been a bad fellow, everything is reversed so that both X and Y become sinless. In the above context of Krishna and Gopikas, where the real Krishna is X and the unreal Krishna is Y, the basic point is that God must fulfill the devotional justice for every devotee. In this process, the real practical phase is absent since the action is between two unreal forms. The action becomes real if the two forms are real, or at least one form is real. The intention belongs to mind, and the words spoken also belong to the mind, since the words are in line with the intention. This word mind process is the theoretical phase, which is fundamentally unreal. The devotee got satisfaction believing that the unreal Krishna is real. Such satisfaction of the devotee is the final goal of devotional justice. Hence, both the situations are quite different everywhere. These words and feelings are reflections of the sweet devotion of the devotee only, and not the inherent activity from God, who is always an ocean of bliss. Apta kamasya kaspruha Veda. And her next question, how can you prove that the real Krishna as sinless? The detailed question is, Swami, let us take the example of two created human beings who are doing illegal sin. Since the two souls are unreal and the action of sin done by the two unreal souls is also unreal, they should not be punished in hell. If they are punished in hell, the unreal Gopika and the unreal Krishna must also be punished. Since the unreal Krishna is doing everything by the will of real Krishna only, the punishment must actually go to the real Krishna. In the case of human beings, since they are given full freedom, the punishment need not go to God. How can you prove the real Krishna as sinless? Swami replied, The example given by you regarding two unreal human beings belongs to pravritti. In this context, a logical reply can also be given, which is that since the creation is unreal, hell and the punishment are also unreal. This is like Shankara replying that his running is also unreal, just like the elephant is unreal. Yatha gajo midhya tatha palayanamapi midhya. But the context of the Gopikas and God Krishna is nivrutti, in which even justice is rejected and God is only voted. In pravritti only, justice is voted against injustice. This difference is due to the purity and greatness of God. In any type of devotion, the starting point is only soul and not God. This does not mean that the devotee is fully responsible in the sin. Since it is not sin at all, this doubt has no value. In the case of every devotee, God has to fulfill the justice of devotion. Hence, you shall not equate the case of God with the case of souls. Even then, the unreal Krishna underwent double punishment. That is his own punishment and the punishment of unreal Gopikas in the case of each Gopika for the sake of maintaining protection from imitation danger. This means that the unreal human being may think itself as the real God and do the sin. When the unreal Krishna underwent the punishment in hell, all the suffering is experienced by the real Krishna only, since the real Krishna is the main responsible doer from the root. You must remember that such a suffering of punishment by God is only to prevent the imitation by ignorant souls and not because God has done the sin in the real sense. Oh, excellent. Next question is also by her. When it is the time to enjoy the true love of the Gopikas, why did God create his imaginary forms, withdrawing from the merging into it? The detailed question is, the aim of this creation by God is to enjoy the dualistic bliss of true love of souls. When the time has come to enjoy the true love expressed by the topmost souls called Gopikas, why would God create imaginary forms of himself withdrawing from merging into it? That will defeat the purpose of his creating the creation, isn't it? When he is not doing the sin and is undergoing the punishment, he could have done the sin and undergone the punishment. Sri Swami replied, no doubt the Gopikas are the topmost devotees of God Krishna. But all these Gopikas are just human beings only. And of course, they stand in the topmost position in humanity. The Gopikas are also a part of the inherently unreal creation and are unreal forms created by God's willpower called Maya. For the sake of unreal forms of Krishna are suitable and sufficient. That is the decision of God. Who are you to question about the decision of God? God in his real form associates with his real forms like Hanuman, Sita, Radha, Rukmini, etc. What God has done is perfectly correct. You have told that God should have sinned and should have undergone the inevitable punishment. Such attitude will be for a soul, but not for the omniscient God. If a human being is present in the place of God, it would have thought that let it enjoy the sin, since the punishment is anyhow inevitable from another angle. God, being the infinite ocean of bliss, need not bend for such a petty enjoyment, since nothing is there that is not achieved by him or to be achieved by him. Nanavapta Mavaptavyam. Gita. Next question is also by Miss Trailokya. Why did Krishna say that he is Radha and also Gopika, who are real and unreal forms respectively? The detailed question is, Swami, God Krishna said to Radha that he and Radha are one and the same. God Krishna told the same sentence to every Gopika also. Every Gopika is the unreal form of the Maya power of Krishna, whereas Radha is the real form of Krishna. In such case, how could he say the same sentence to both real and unreal forms? Swami replied, in the case of Radha, really Krishna and Radha are one and the same as explained above. Hence, in the case of Radha, Krishna told the truth. Excellent. In the case of each Gopika, he told the same sentence to encourage the Gopika in her spiritual effort. By this thought of monism, some type of ultimate satisfaction comes in the mind of the spiritual aspirant, so that the spiritual journey of the aspirant gets some halt for some time at least, so that the devotee can take some rest during the continuous spiritual effort, thinking that the spiritual aspirant has reached the ultimate goal. Such intermediate rest is necessary for any continuous worker. Krishna told Arjuna also that he and Arjuna are one and the same. Pandavanam Dhananjaya. Gita. This is also to encourage Arjuna by giving some resting stop, like the paid vacation given to the top employees by the management of the company. This is not the ultimate truth, because Krishna says to Arjuna in the same Gita that he knows everything, whereas Arjuna does not know anything. Natvam veta parantapa. The truth is revealed by Krishna so that Arjuna must not believe the said monism as truth and get ego. This monism told to the devotee by God is called Bhavadvaitam, which means just theoretical monism, which is fundamentally unreal, and it is assumed as real for some good purpose to help the devotee in the spiritual journey. A lie can be told for good purpose, and this is called as Ardhavada. Vada means lie told, Ardha means for the purpose of good welfare only. It is just like a mother telling the child that if the child eats the food completely, the moon will come down from the sky. For the sake of the welfare of the child, which is to make her eat the food completely, the mother is telling this lie, and such lie is not a sin. If God is confident that his encouraging word will not bring ego in the mind of a specific devotee, God will not reveal the truth of his encouraging word to that specific devotee. If the incarnation says the same word to another incarnation, it is really real. God Hanuman, the incarnation of God Shiva, says that basically he and Rama are one and the same. Atma buddhya tvamevaham iti me nischita matihi. He also says that he is the servant of Rama in the view of his body, and he is a part of Rama in view of his individual soul. Deha buddhyatu dasoham, jiva buddhya tvadamsakaha. Rama is God Vishnu and Hanuman is God Shiva. God Vishnu and God Shiva are one and the same. Shivascha Narayanaha Veda. From the angle of the physical medium, servant-master relationship is told. From the angle of bundle of thoughts, whole part relationship is expressed. These three indicate monism of Shankara, qualified monism of Ramanuja, and dualism of Madhva, respectively. Excellent. God is absolutely real, and the creation is inherently unreal. But the creation also becomes absolutely real due to the gifted absolute reality from God. The human incarnation has the medium that belongs to creation and has the internal God component, which is the creator. The commonalities between the medium of human incarnation and any human being of the creation are: first, the external gross body, that is Deha, made of 5 elements. Second, the basic soul, that is Atman, which is the inert energy. Third, the individual soul, Jiva, which is pure awareness, that is experienced in the meditation. Fourth, the individual soul, Jiva, which is a bundle of thoughts in the worldly life. Fifth, the thoughts, that is Bhava, which are the modes of awareness. the difference between human incarnation and any human being is the existence of unimaginable God in merged state in the human incarnation, and the absence of God, absence of unimaginable God in any human being. Now, referring only to the commonalities of medium of human incarnation with the commonalities of the entire human being, this means that the human being entirely is a part of the world medium only. God can say to any human being that he and the human being are one and the same. This is the justification of the statement of God Krishna in the case of human beings which are sages born as Gopikas. When the same statement is told by God Krishna to Radha or Rukmini, the statement is justified with reference to the medium as well as the internal God component. Oh, excellent. Rukmini or Radha is the same God component and is equal to Krishna, since the difference is only in the gender of the media of Krishna and Radha or Rukmini. This means that the incarnation of God can be in both genders because because the gender difference is only in some modifications of the gross body. In this way, the statement of God Krishna is justified in both Gopikas and Radha or Rukmini. Similarly, the same statement uttered by God Rama in the case of Sita and Hanuman is justified, since Sita and Hanuman are also the incarnations of God. The above statement of monism is justified in pure logical sense in both the sets. The first set is real Krishna and real Radha, and the second set is unreal Gopika and the unreal Krishna. In the first set, reality is common, and in the second set, non-reality is common. Hence, in both sets, monism is separately justified. The next question by Mr. Alokya. Why did Krishna say to both Radha and Gopikas that he exists in their heart? The detailed question is, God Krishna said to both Radha and each Gopika that he exists in his heart. How to correlate this sentence between Radha and Gopikas? Swami replied, in the same building, an office exists in which employees of different cadres are sitting. Since all are sitting in the same building, do you mean that all the employees must be of the same cadre? The love of God towards devotee may vary like the cadres of the employees, but all devotees sit in the same heart of God incarnation, which is like the same building. Excellent. The next question is also by her. Did not Shuka know about the unreal Krishnas touching the unreal Gopikas? The detailed question is, when Parikshit asked sage Shuka that why God touched the married ladies, the answer should be that God did not touch them at all in true sense. Didn't sage Sukha know what you have revealed to us about the unreal Krishnas touching the unreal Gopikas? Swami replied, Sage Sukha knows everything, but he revealed the needful answer to Parikshit, saying that human beings should not develop imitation illusion and do sins. He said that the ordinary human beings shall not imitate God because God is omniscient and omnipotent. This means that God does things with deep logic that actually justifies his actions that can be understood by deep and sharp analysis only. The spouse is one of the three strongest worldly bonds, Ishanatrayam. Unless this test is done, complete victory in the tests of all worldly bonds cannot be declared to grant salvation. In this test, the real form of God Krishna is not involved, and hence sin cannot touch God Krishna. Conducting this test is inevitable for God Krishna to declare salvation from all the worldly bonds for any Gopika. At the same time, in order to avoid the exploitation by any human being, God underwent the punishment this of this sin twice. One for self and the other for the sake of Gopika, for each Gopika. For the sake of the protection of climax devotees, for the sake of protection of all human beings in the creation, and for the sake of protection of the divine constitution written by himself, God conducted this test without involving himself in the sin in the real sense because the test is done by his inherently unreal forms. God says that his main aim is to protect all the human beings in his creation, which is called as Lokasangraha. Lokasangraham evapi, Gita. He clearly said in the Gita that at any cost he will not spoil the human beings of his own creation to fall under the illusion of his imitation. Shankarasya cha kartasyam upahanya mimaha prajaha. The next question is also by her. Will God say such sentences of Bhavadvaita to liberated souls only or to other souls also trying to get salvation? Swami replied, whenever there is a need of such a statement, God uses it. Bhavadvaita means the monism, that is Advaitam, said in terms of a thought, that is bhava only, and not in real practical sense, which is the true monism, Satchadvaitam. Excellent. Thought comes under theoretical phase only, which is inherently unreal. Word following such a thought comes under the same theoretical phase only. So it's almost 8 o'clock. So I will stop here for Bhakti Ganga. Namaskaram, Swami.
Namaste. ತುಂಬಾ tension ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
Pada Namaskaram Swami.
Namaste.
Shall we start the bhajans?
Yes.
Okay, Swami.
I tell you, if I say that I am not the Lord, you will say that I am the Lord. If I say that I am the Lord, you will say that I am not the Lord. If I don't love, I am a stone for you. If I love you, you tell me to go. If you like me to be with me always, you have to cut all the bonds. Impossible, O Partha, this is impossible. Impossible, O Partha, this is impossible. How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you? How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you? I came to uplift the justice. I sing this Gita to teach you. Love with service is the only way. Be with me with lovely service. To love and serve human form is best. Narayana came down as a Krishna. Human form can only preach. To know human form is divine knowledge. Divine knowledge, O Partha, this is a divine knowledge. Divine knowledge, O Partha, this is a divine knowledge. How should I tell you, O Partha, how should I tell you? Two obstacle walls oppose you here. Egoism and jealousy are the walls. Human body repels human body. Therefore you reject my human form. Realize you are not the human body. You are the soul that is the pure awareness. Why do you hate the human body when you are not the human body? Love me, O Partha, love my human form. Love me, O Partha, love my human form. How should I tell you, O Partha, how should I tell you? How should I tell you, O Partha, how should I tell you? I am Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva. Serve me in this human form only. Soul need not hate the human body. At least love all the human beings. In any way love the human beings, so that you love me in human form. Before you love and serve me finally, you love and serve the humanity. Practice, O Partha, it is practice. Practice, O Partha, it is practice. How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you? How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you? Divine knowledge means detecting me, loving me, and then serving me always. Entire creation is my will only. The human body is also my will. God pervaded all my human body. God himself is teaching you. Don't claim that you are the Lord just by becoming the self. Demonism, O Partha, this is demonism. Demonism, O Partha, this is demonism. How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you? How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you? Sacrifice of work and fruit of work, both are the service like the plate of meals. Oral singing and love with the mind to be given like the drinking water. Don't give only water to Lord and charge him for giving the water, but meals must be with drinking water. Don't aspire for payment from Lord. He will bless you, O Partha. He will bless you always. He will bless you, O Partha. He will always bless you. How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you? How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you? You think of me as a human body, since you are also the human body. I am the hot water, water with heat. You are the cold water, water without heat. Don't propagate that I am the Lord. Others may not digest that truth. They will mock you and drag you down to their level to be equal with you. Human tendency, O Partha, this is human tendency. Human tendency, O Partha, this is human tendency. How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you? How should I tell you, O Partha? How should I tell you?
Shri Datta Devam Yogadhinadham Koti Suguna Sundaraya 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 Maya Lolam Vishwapalam Bhuvana Sanchari Sundaraya Maya Lolam Vishwapalam Bhuvana Sanchari Sundaraya Shri Datta Devam Yogadhinadham Koti Suguna Sundaraya Sundaraya Sundaraya.
Atriputra Dattadeva Shruti Pavitra Satcharitra Kehli Chitra Putramatra Trahimam Shatapatra Netra Ajnanatimira Bheda Padmamitra Prajnana Chidanagha Satkalatra Vijnana Rudha Tattva Sudhapatra Sujnani Manavardhasruta Manavagatra Atriputra Dattadeva Shruti Pavitra Satcharitra Keli Chitra Putramatra Trahimam Shatapatra Netra.
Bhaj bhaj re Bhagavantam Harihara Putra Manantam.
Bhaj bhaj re Bhagavantam Harihara Putra Manantam.
Manikantaharam Kerala Kumaram Shardulавaham Varjita Vivaham Shabari Girisham Mahishi Vinasham Shastaramevam Jayami Devam.
Bhaj bhaj re Bhagavantam Harihara Putra Manantam.
Shiva Vishnu Teja Samyoga Bhajam Samsara Param Shrutivakyasaram Sopanamala Madhiruhya Leela Sankalpa Lokam Kalayantamekam.
Bhaj bhaj re Bhagavantam Harihara Putra Manantam.
ఏకైకవీరం సౌందర్యమారం యోగీంద్రధీరం హృతభూమిభారం పంపావిహారం హృదయైకచోరం దత్తావతారం మునిచిత్తచారం.
భజ భజ రే భగవంతం హరిహర పుత్ర మనంతం.
ఆలీఢకాంతం నిశ్రేణికాంతం వేదాంతశాంతం చిన్ముద్రయాంతం అనాద్యనంతం మకరాంశుమంతం జ్యోతిస్ఫురంతం శిఖివజ్వలంతం.
భజ భజ రే భగవంతం హరిహర పుత్ర మనంతం.
భజ
భజ రే భగవంతం హరిహర పుత్ర మనంతం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం వాణీమలికుల వేణీం ఏణీక్షణ సుమబాణాం శోణాధరకరకోణాం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
కమలాసన ఘన కామాం విధిరామామభిరామాం శమదమ సుగుణస్తోమాం గుమఘుమ సౌరభ భామాం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
శరదమలామజలోలాం సత్కవికుల నిజబాలాం గలకలిత కమలమాలాం సువిలసిత తిలక ఫాలాం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
హంసయాన చలదాంసాం హంసవాహనోత్తాంసాం హంసిం జుదజిత హంసాం హంసక కలపిక హింసాం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
గజ్జపజ్జరస విద్యాం మజ్జహృజ్య మధువాజ్యాం ఆజ్యాముజ్యత్సజ్జో విద్యుజ్జుతిమనవజ్యాం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
క్వణిత కచ్చపిం హస్తే న్యస్త సుపుస్తకమాలాం ప్రశస్తమస్తాభ్యస్తాం స్తుతిభిస్తతామనస్తాం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
సంగీతమంగళాంగీం శృంగార శృంగరంగాం బృంగాలకనవభంగీం బ్రహ్మసంగరసగంగాం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
ఇందీవర చందన రుచి కుందేందు మందహాసాం ఆనందమరంలబ్ధిం ఇందిరా స్నుషం వందే.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం వాణీమలికుల వేణీం ఏణీక్షణ సుమబాణాం శోణాధరకరకోణాం.
భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం భజరే వీణాపాణిం.
దత్తమాయాం కోను తరతి నచేత్ దత్తమేవానుసరతి. వాసవాదవ ఏవ తత్ర గళితాః బ్రహ్మర్షయోపి తత్పాదపతితాః. నాభిజానత ఏవ తం నరతనుం నరా వేదశాస్త్రమహావిదోపి. దత్తమాయాం కోను తరతి నచేత్ దత్తమేవానుసరతి. వాసవాదయ ఏవ తత్ర గళితాః బ్రహ్మర్షయోపి తత్పాదపతితాః. నాభిజానత ఏవ తం నరతనుం నరా వేదశాస్త్రమహావిదోపి. दत्तमायां को नुतरति न चेद्दत्तमेवानुसरति दत्तमायां को नुतरति न चेत् दत्तमेवानुसरति दत्तमायां को नुतरति दत्तमायां को नुतरति दत्तमायां को नुतरति
दत्तात्रेयं 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 को जानाति दत्तात्रेयं
दत्तात्रेयं दत्तात्रेयं को जानाति
ब्रह्मर्षिर्वा देवो वा स्यात् दत्तात्रेयं को जानाति
दत्तात्रेयं 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 को जानाति
पूर्णविनोदं मायालोलं मूलस्य मूलम् अनूह्यतत्त्वं सद्गुणदुर्गुणलीलाकेलिं ब्राह्मणोत्तमपि चण्डालं च
दत्तात्रेयं 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 को जानाति
परमकठोरं बाह्याकारं करुणासागरमन्तःसारं निन्दास्तोत्रैरलिप्तमेकं क्रीडयन्तमिह कृतावतारम्
दत्तात्रेयं 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 को जानाति
दत्तं छिन्नं मूढा एवं वदन्ति लोके मायाबन्धा सर्वे छिन्नाः तदीयदृष्ट्या कैवल्याय
दत्तात्रेयं 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 को जानाति
धर्मबद्धमपि धर्मातीतं ज्ञानानन्दं रसस्वरूपं कर्मनिमग्नं न कर्मबद्धं कर्मफलानां धातारं तम्
दत्तात्रेयं 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 को जानाति
दत्तात्रेयं
दत्तात्रेयं दत्तात्रेयं को जानाति दत्तात्रेयं 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 को जानाति
दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली अद्यैव कृष्ण स्मरणं श्वप्रभृत्येव कार्तिकमासः चन्द्रशेखरस्य अभिषेकः दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली हृदये मृण्मय पात्रे ज्ञानदशां निधेहि भक्तितैलेन पूरया गुरुदत्तबोधज्वालया दीपय दीपं स्वामिने तव जीवितमेवायं दीपः दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली संसार एव नरकासुरः स्वामि प्रेमैव सत्यभामा संसाररतिरमावास्या अज्ञानमेव गाढान्धकारः भक्तिगीतान्येव दाह्यानि दाह एव भजनयोगः दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली रे रे जीवा मूढमानवा अन्तरद्धमवलोकय विषयतृणं भक्षयसि नित्यं पशुरेवासि पशुपतिं विस्मरसि जायसे च पशुजन्म दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली अभिषेक स्वामि प्रेमैव गंगाजलं शुद्ध प्रणयः लिंगमेव सगुणरूपं त्रिदलबिल्वं त्रिमूर्तिभावः ब्रह्मज्ञानं विभूतिः विश्वेश्वर एव गुरुदत्तः दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली सात्विक भाव क्षीराभिषेकः सत्संग एव दध्यभिषेकः तनुतापो घृताभिषेकः प्रेमैव मधुरामभिषेकः स्वामी वाच एव शर्कराभिषेकः दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली नारिकेलफलं तव शीर्षं तस्य भेदो वेदान्तचर्चा तन्मधुसलिलं ते प्रियभावः अर्पणमेव तस्याभिषेकः द्रव्ययज्ञे सारांश एव ज्ञानयज्ञ इति जानीहि दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली नानाफलरसाभिषेकः सर्वकर्मफलसङ्गत्यागः कर्पूरनीराजनमेव स्वामिने तव मनोदानं शिवरतिरेव सौरभगन्धः नैवेद्यमेव तव आत्मार्पणम् दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली देवदेवाय तव देहः वामदेवाय तव वाचः आदिदेवाय तव अन्तरङ्गः अर्पणमेव शिवाराधनम् एकैकक्षणः कार्तिकमासः आनन्द एव अमृताभिषेकः दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली दीपावली ज्ञान दीपावली दीपावली भक्ति दीपावली
अत्रिप्रिया पुत्रमाश्रये दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् अत्रिप्रिया पुत्रमाश्रये दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् ज्ञानाभरणं मायावरणं भक्तोद्धरणं त्रिगुणकरणम् ज्ञानाभरणं मायावरणं भक्तोद्धरणं त्रिगुणकरणम् अत्रिप्रिया पुत्रमाश्रये दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् अत्रिप्रिया पुत्रमाश्रये दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् निजानुचरवरा कोटित्रयसुरा करसेवा मोदभरम् निजानुचरवरा कोटित्रयसुरा करसेवा मोदभरम् अत्रिप्रिया पुत्रमाश्रये दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् अत्रिप्रिया पुत्रमाश्रये दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् अमेयशमदमा समत्वमति गतिविमुक्तिकरवरदम् अमेयशमदमा समत्वमति गतिविमुक्तिकरवरदम् अत्रिप्रिया पुत्रमाश्रये दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् अत्रिप्रिया पुत्रमाश्रये दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् दत्तं भार्गव प्रणतचरणम् भैरवायते कालभैरवायते प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य भैरवायते कालभैरवायते प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य काशिकापुरी क्षेत्रलोकपालनं पिङ्गलेक्षणा स्फुरणमात्रमेव ते भुवनभाण्डक प्रलयभस्मकारको गर्जनोद्धत ध्वनिकणस्तव प्रभो भैरवायते कालभैरवायते प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य भैरवायते कालभैरवायते प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य अष्टसिद्धयोऽप्यष्टभूतिभिः सह भूतनाथ ते करुणलेशसम्भवाः सारमेयवत् त्वयि समर्पितार्थिनां बोधयत्यहो शुनकवाहनं तव भैरवायते कालभैरवायते प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य भैरवायते कालभैरवायते प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य अरुणवाससं भैक्ष्यभस्त्रिकाभुजं साग्निपात्रकं पृथुलमार्जनीधरम् श्मश्रुभीकरं कालदण्डमण्डितं कालिकापतिं कालकालमाश्रये भैरवायते कालभैरवायते प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य भैरवायते कालभैरवायते प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य प्रदक्षिणानि मे देवमूढभक्तस्य धरती पर भक्तों के तुम हो उद्धारक भक्तों के कष्टों के तुम हो निवारक जीवों के भरता तुम ही हो मेरे पालक जगत गण हूँ मैं और तुम जग संचालक
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
सृष्टि स्थिति लयकारी तुम दत्ता अवतारी तुम्हारी लीला स्वामी जग से है न्यारी काषाय वस्त्रों में दत्त त्रिपुरारी तुम्हारी महिमा गाए हम सब नर नारी
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
त्रिगुणों के मालिक कर त्रिगुणों को धारण स्वयं ही सिखाए ज्ञान भक्ति समर्पण तेरे रमणार्थ सदा यत्न निरंतर तुम्हारी सेवा में ही मैं रहूं सदा तत्पर
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
वेदों के कर्ता तुम ही वेदों के रक्षक तुमसे ही वेदों का अस्तित्व अब तक वेदों के वचन हो तुम में ही सार्थक तुम बिन स्वामी है ये जीवन निरर्थक
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
प्रज्ञान स्वामी का है मोक्षकारी नष्ट करे सारे अवगुण हमारे जितनी भी चाहे हो इच्छा हमारी फिर भी न छोड़ा हमें बेसहारे
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
अहम में डूबे हम मनुष्य सारे करते तिरस्कार प्रभु का हमारे प्रेम से प्रभु सहते आरोप सारे फिर भी हमें स्वामी गले लगावे
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
अहम सोया बिन दत्ता को ध्यावे पत्री अनसोया वही मान होवे अंत समय में जो दत्ता पुकारे पुत्र समान दत्ता दौड़े आवे
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्ता त्रिमूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी
छोड़
साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
यथाशक्ति यथा भक्ति चरण आरंभे कर्म संन्यास कर प्रेम निर्धारे कर्म फल त्याग कर भक्ति प्रमाणे दोनों करे सो कर्मयोगी हो साबित।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
अमृत वचन स्वामी का नैया है पारे सुन ले मन तू हो जा स्वामी का प्यारे। स्वामी बिन है पैर पंगुम हमारे स्वामी भजना हरे पीड़ा हमारी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
तुम रहो दाता सदा मैं रहूं सदा याचक तुम रहो सदा मालिक और मैं रहूं सदा सेवक। काहू को डरना जब तुम हो मेरे रक्षक तुम्हारी सेवा में ही जीवन मेरा सार्थक।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
मनमोहक अति सुंदर अत्यंत प्यारी आनंदाई स्वामी छवि तुम्हारी। दर्शन मात्रे तृप्त आत्मा हमारी दृष्टि स्वामी की है चमत्कारी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
परिपूर्णतम साक्षात् परब्रह्म स्वामी वेदों से परिवेद सार है स्वामी। अनूह्य अवतारी अचिंत्य स्वामी मनुष्य अवतारी परब्रह्म स्वामी।
गुरु दत्ता श्री दत्ता जय जय प्रभु दत्तात्रेय मूर्ति अवतारी साक्षात् परब्रह्म श्री दत्ता स्वामी।
कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रिये वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् भक्त्यानन्या श्रीदत्त स्वामिने समर्पयामि श्रीदत्त स्वामिने समर्पयामि श्रीदत्त स्वामिने समर्पयामि।
परब्रह्म समारंभां श्रीदत्तात्रेय मध्यमां श्रीदत्तस्वामी पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। सर्वविश्वन्यस्तपादपद्मायते वामहस्तालोलवेदशास्त्रायते ज्ञानसूर्यायते दत्तरूपायते श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम् श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम् श्रीवेणुगोपाल कृष्णाय वन्दनम्। गुरुदत्त श्रीदत्त प्रभुदत्त पाहि माम् विधिदत्त हरिदत्त हरदत्त रक्ष माम् पाहि माम् दत्त रक्ष माम् दत्त। स्वामी नमस्कारम स्वामी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कारं
नमस्ते
स्वामीजी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कार स्वामी जी।
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्कार स्वामी।
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
पादनमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते
स्वामीजी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कार स्वामी जी।
नमस्ते
Is anyone left?
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कारं
Is it-
स्वामी।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
नमस्कारं स्वामी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कार स्वामी जी।
नमस्ते
Is anyone left to offer pranams to Swami? Pada Namaskaram Swami.
नमस्ते
उद्वेगरहिता संतोषरहिता शांति समुद्रा श्री दत्ता शांति समुद्रा श्री दत्ता शांति समुद्रा श्री दत्ता। ओम शांति शांति शांति।